now 3 break points for Becker.
Well, once again, another good return of serve from Boris. The volley sits up a little. It doesn't do enough with this backhand volley, and Boris has got the open court as he punches his fist.
Pat was stretched out for that second volley. The high backhand volley made it difficult to get much on it. Here's where you would expect to see Becker really go after a return. So Cashy has to try to make a good second serve. Missed the volley. It was not an easy one. So Becker has a break.
Becker leads 2 games to love. Second set.
Well, Boris Becker obviously settling down after he won that first set and came up with a very good game then on Pat Cash's serve.
That's a good point, because you got a set in your pocket, and you got love 40. You got a chance to take some swings at it, and if you pull off 1 off out of 3, you're okay. So Cash has his work cut out for him now. 2 love.
Love 15.
4 double faults for Becker. My unofficial count, I've got 4 aces and 4 doubles for Becker, 4 aces and 2 doubles for Cash.
All. $30-15. Five, please.
Smart play by Cash. You talk about grass court tennis.
30 all.
Well, that's the sort of point Pat Cash really needs to play to get back in this match. Taking the second serve and following it to the net. Really a more natural grass court mover.
Cash has struck some awfully good passing shots.
40-30.
This was one of them, and watch Becker stretch.
See, Boris gets down for that first volley. Not a very good shot technically. But have a look at his stretch for that forehand volley and comes up with the winner. Ever ready to dive if he needs to.
I thought he was going to do it right there. Becker now leads 3-love, second set. In case you don't recognize him, that is Pat Cash. If he didn't have the headband on, he might look like he'd in Saudi Arabia or something. As we come back on Nine's Wide World of Sports. A lot to think about is Pat Cash this time, because he has lost the first set to Boris Becker 6-4, a very close first set. And now he is down a break, coming out to serve at love 3. And Paul, if you could whisper to Cashy right now, would you suggest anything different?
Well, I think he really has to wait for his chance on Boris' serve. He's not going to get many, but when he does, he better take the bit between his teeth and really show Boris he's going to compete with him on the big points. And if he does that, I still believe he's in this match.
Kind of hope Boris misses some first serve so he gets a swing at that second serve, which is not an easy one either. Long.
15 love.
That's the luxury that Becker has in this situation. He does have a service break, so he can take chances on Cash's serve.
Here he is winding up on that forehand, which barely misses the baseline.
Love.
Ace number 5 for Cash.
Look at this action. Great serve wide to the backhand.
It's one thing Pat has to do in this situation, concentrate on holding his serve before he worries about any kind of a break.
Love. Game count.
Ace number 6. 2 in that game.
Becker leads 3 games to 1.
Once again, a carbon copy. Great action. It's not coming back. A serve like that.
You might have noticed Becker sliding towards the center just a little bit too, but he could have been right on that spot and not done much with that one. So Becker to serve at 3-1.
Love.
In case you joined us late, the first match on the center court, Miloslav Mechir, seeded number 9, upset Mats Wilander, who was the second seed here, and did it in high fashion, 6-3, 6-1, 6-3. Just annihilated Mats Wilander and played beautifully in the process.
Love.
Well, once again, a good first serve, and look at Boris Becker in position, angling the forehand volley away. Pat, with all his speed, couldn't do anything about it.
See what he tries to do with his second serve if he goes after it.
Love.
Made a good return, got it down nice and low.
Well, the expression on his face tells the story at this point.
Starting to wonder what he has to do.
Let's let. First service.
Pat having a friendly word to Boris there. Fred was right. They didn't have dinner last night. Well, this is one of the best points of the match. Great moving by Pat Cash to get to this ball. He gets up for the overhead. On the backhand side, Boris nearly comes up with a shot.
Now, could he direct this backhand overhead, or just trying to get it up, pop the wrist, and just hope it goes in a good spot?
Well, he's got probably the best backhand overhead in the game. I think he knows where it's going.
Again, Becker said this match will have nothing to do with tennis. It'll be a mental strength of mind, whoever takes the odd chance here and there. So both guys glaring at one another a little bit. That's part of the mental side of the game.
Game Becker.
Becker now leads 4-1 the second set. He's won the first. A concerned Pat Cash on the changeover.
Well, that's right, Tony. You were saying about this being a mental battle. Boris Becker, of course, lately has been saying a lot of things about the mental state of various players. When he beat Stefan Edberg in Queens, he claimed that he always knew he'd serve a double fault on break point in the third set. And Boris's comments about the other players haven't gone unnoticed in the men's locker room. And
is that psychological warfare?
Yes, it is. And I think if it comes down to the medal battle, I'd put my money on Pat. But with Boris winning so clearly at the moment, it's not coming down to that right now. The last time they did play was at the Sydney Indoors last year, when Pat won a third set tiebreaker. As we see this good grass court point by Pat. And they shook hands after the match, and really they get on pretty well, these two guys. They're both young guys coming to the peak of their games, and they're both great for men's tennis and playing a good spirit. So I expect a pretty clean match here.
30, love.
From time to time, you hear a commentator make the comment that a guy's a great competitor. Well, if you get this far, and if you're as good as these people are, ranked as high in the world, you know they're good competitors, or there's no way they could get along that far up in the rankings. So to me, being a good competitor, you just almost take for granted.
Well, there's no doubting this forehand return of serve. It went just where he meant it, and it's not coming back.
I think maybe Cash was trying to get it into the body a little bit more, and Boris slid to his left, so he had a free swing at the forehand as that ball curved and gave him a good shot at it. (30-15). You might have just seen a magic moment.
Game cash.
Let's take another look.
Ball change.
I don't know if that ball actually bounced the second time before Cashy touched the net. He's gotten credit for it.
Well, that's what Boris Becker's disputing right now, and Pat leads over the net. Actually, I think his foot might have touched it as well.
And of course, Becker now just a little showmanship.
Well, that was good to see anyway.
Yeah.
Quiet, please.
How many times have you played when you've had your opponent end up rolling over on your side on top, over the top of the net like that? So Becker to serve.
Thank you.
4-2 in the second set. He has won the first set 6-4. Cash has got to figure a way to make something happen here. He's down a break. Becker serving with new balls.
Well, Boris Becker's starting to look very comfortable on his serve now.
Well, again, he has a luxury of a set and a break. That lets you relax quite a bit. Becker now leads 5-2 in the second set. On 9's Wide World of Sports. One service break in the first set, cashed in by Boris Becker to win the set 6-4. One service break only in this second set. Becker got that to go ahead 2-0 in the second set, and now Cash coming out to serve at 2-5. And again, Paul, Pat's got to think about holding serve here before he concerns himself at all about what he does to get a break.
Quiet, please. Thank you.
Look at this backhand return from Boris Becker. Just hitting the inside-out backhand. The racket head lagging a little bit behind the wrist. Comes up with a great shot.
30-15.
Two good serves right into the body in that deuce court. Not a bad place to serve at any time, but when you're playing a fellow like Becker who takes a big swing at the ball, if you can tie him up, get it into the body, it complicates things for him.
Once again, a good first serve by Pat. Down the centre this time.
Game 10.
So Cashy has held his serve. Now he's got to figure a way to break the Becker serve.
5 games to 3. Second set.
That's the situation. Hour and 19 minutes. It is 5:39 p.m. London time.
Quiet, please.
Well, let's see if Pat Cash can extract
Ladies and
some
gentlemen,
sign of
5
nervousness from Boris
Thank
Becker.
you.
Amazing. Cash almost got to that one before it bounced the second
15.
time.
I'm not sure he didn't get to that, Tony. Amazing move here by Pat. Good drop volley by Boris. You're right, he doesn't quite get to it.
And had he gotten to it, he probably couldn't have stopped from running the net either. Remember what a couple matches ago, he slid under the net going for one of those short balls. 15 love.
Because he's going to keep running for them, because we know how important they were against Javier Frana. Those two short balls he got to, which I think really turned the fifth set around.
Well, you're down a set and a break. You better run after everything, too. The fifth double fault by Becker. Spectators more vocal than they normally are, aren't they, for both fellas? You talk about how they give you the quiet applause, and then when it gets down to set point, then they start hollering.
Well, they've started early today, and with good reason, I think. This is the match of Wimbledon, no doubt about it.
I think Cashy's got to go for broke off the second serve. Once you let Boris make one volley, that ball's down low. You're normally on the move. He gets to consolidate his volleying position. That second serve sitting up is the one you got to take a crack at. Cashy doesn't believe that serve was called good. We're not in the best location, but I sure thought it was long. Goes down as an ace. Let's have another look here.
Well, that ball is at least 6 inches behind the service line. That's why the machine didn't pick it up.
Game second set, Becker.
Becker wins the second set in 1 hour and 22 minutes. courts. Now certainly a very concerned and worried Pat Cash, trailing Boris Becker 6-4, 6-3. He will be coming out to start serving in the third set.
Well, Pat Cash knows what it's like to be down 2 sets of love. It's happened to him many times in Davis Cup. And you'll see a great fight from Patrick.
Has to figure a way to do something on the Becker serve. Becker has served very, very well.
Third set.
And I don't base that on aces and double faults, but it's the weight of shot, placement, and the way he's backed it up. Becker has missed very few volleys. So he's been tough. Jerry Armstrong, the umpire.
Pat just waiting for the ball boys to get the right balls in play. Not easy to figure out exactly what's going on here, Tony, but it might have been a new ball that crept into play that shouldn't be there.
Five, please. Thank you.
Start of set number 3. Ace number 7 for Pat.
15.
Look at the angle that Pat gets on this serve.
Love.
Well, there's a packed house here today, Tony, and don't they want a long match?
Yeah, I'm just thinking they're much more involved, much more vocal than they normally are here. Cash wins the first game of the third set. Tim Mayotte serving to Yvonne Lendl at 2-3 in the first set. And on the center court, Boris Becker about to serve.
Ladies and gentlemen, quiet, please.
In case you've joined us late, Becker has won the first 2 sets from Pat Cash, 6-4, 6-3. Love won third set.
Well, this is the sort of inspiration that Pat Cash needs. return gets down to Boris's feet, and look at the control on this backhand topspin lob.
Yeah, you would expect the guy to go cross court, the diagonal, have more court and get over the backhand side, but that was just perfectly done. So here's a chance for cash at love 30.
Well, a good solid return from Pat, but look at this second backhand he hits. Snaps the wrist. From almost behind his body, great shot, love 30.
First service. Fifteen, 30.
Sensational. Beautifully played by both players, but what a save by Cash.
I'll just let the pictures tell the story here.
Fifteen, 40.
Once again.
Quiet, please.
Everybody half volleys Becker smash for winners, don't they? And we come back 2 break points for Cash. Could help him try to turn this thing around. This is when the heavy second serving of Becker can backfire. Tries to do too much sometimes. He took something off that second serve to make sure he got it in. Still break point for Cash.
Isn't this the time for some more inspiration from Pat? He really needs to get a service break.
On both occasions, Becker went to Cash's forehand, and Cash did not get either one back in play.
Pat just snapping at that forehand and mishitting it.
Mac, when he takes that forehand back, he lays the hand back first, and that means he's going to have to sort of snap at it. He makes some good ones like that, but he also makes some errors. Unfortunately, that was a situation where he did make the errors. Deuce.
First service.
Well, they could be 2 very costly forehand errors from Pat, those 2. Great game he'd already played to get those 2 break points.
I think Cashy might have broken a string.
Advantage Becker.
Very hard though for Pat. When a guy like Boris Becker, when you work and work and work to get that break point, it's very hard to suddenly come up with just the right shot at the right time. So much pressure when you get such limited opportunities.
So an opportunity slips away from Pat Cash.
1 game all, third set.
I think you heard him say, "Let me make one return." You're right. You know, you don't have any kind of rhythm because they blow the big serves, make one shot on you, and all of a sudden up comes an opportunity, and it's tough to produce. So it's 1-1 in the third set. An hour and 35 minutes of play.
We haven't seen any sign yet of the Becker serve cracking, and if it were to, we know Pat Cash is the man to take advantage of it.
Well, that time Becker almost stole one.
15 love.
Here's another look.
A good try here by Boris Becker. Guesses the right way.
Oh. 30 love. Love. First service.
Cash holds and leads 2-1 third set. Eastern time in Australia, 6 p.m. here in London. On court number 1, Tim Mayotte serving to Yvonne Lendl at 3-4 in the first set. And that's the situation in the center court. 2 sets to Becker, 6-4, 6-3. And he is serving at 1-2 in the third set to the reigning champion, Pat Cash. Cashy had 2 break points the last time Becker served, was not able to cash in. No pun intended. Becker to serve.
Seats quickly, please.
Not a bad play, that first, the second shot going straight at Becker. Try to handcuff him a little bit. Pat almost got away with it.
Love.
Well, Pat here decides to move around his backhand and give himself some space on that forehand, but didn't really get that ball down at all. Way too high over the net.
Do you like that tactic?
Well, I think it might make Boris think a little bit.
Terrific return there off a very good serve.
Look at the reflexes here from Pat. Boris had the court but couldn't make the shot.
Another solid forehand return from the deuce court.
14-13.
And once again, Pat getting a hold of this wide forehand. Isn't Boris serving a lot to Pat's forehand?
I'm just thinking it must have been part of the game plan to say when it's tight, when it's important, go to the forehand of Cash that I think everybody knows is not quite as reliable as the backhand. You can make some great shots off of it, but also can be erratic.
Game back up. Two games all. Third set.
Well, Pat just blocks that backhand return. He's not able to do enough with his lob, and that's not coming back.
I don't think Cashy thought he was going to get a racket on the ball after Boris made his first volley, and Becker did not get it away from Pat. 2-all third set. Pat has to keep concentrating on holding his serve and see if he can figure a way to get a break.
Well, Pat Cash and Boris Becker, certainly, I would say, the two best grass court players in the world. The only other time they played on grass was at Queen's Club in 1985 in the quarterfinals when Boris won that match and, in fact, went on to win Queen's. And the rest is history. He won Wimbledon and the following year. This is a fine backhand return from Boris. Just the sheer weight of shot forces this error.
Location wasn't bad, was it? Down right at Pat, but down at his shoelaces. Pretty tough to handle from down there.
30-15.
Identical return. That time Cash was able to make the volley.
40-15.
Well, Pat Cash here comes up with probably one of his very best shots, which is his off backhand volley. Look at that. The key to that shot is having your racket head out in front of you when you make the shot. Well in front.
First service.
Cash holds. He leads 3-2, third set. On Nine's Wide World of Sports, the defending champion Pat Cash in trouble here, having a problem with Boris Becker, who has won this event twice. Becker's won the first 2 sets 6-4, 6-3, and coming out to serve at 2-3 in the third. Long uphill struggle if Cash is going to get out of this situation. It certainly can be done.
If one thing will do it, Tony, it's this man's pride.
First service.
Excellent. Good deep volley by Becker, and just an outstanding passing shot.
Pat almost hits this from behind him. Super shot.
A reminder, 10:35 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard Time, our highlight package will begin, and then Steffi Graf, the #1 seed, against Pam Shriver, who's seeded third, followed by Martina Navratilova, the 2nd seed, and Chris Everett, the 4th seed. So the women's seeds have held up 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll be bringing that to you on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Couple of fine shots by Cash, and it's love 30.
And once again, the fact that Boris is hitting a second serve makes all the difference.
That does help, doesn't it?
Underneath, ball boy.
3 break points for Cash. Big opportunity right here.
Well, this is the backhand return we remember from last year, just snapping his wrist over it, dragging it back down the line.
Becker's second serve was short, and watch Cash rotate the upper body.
5, please.
Hit the clean winner.
5, please. Thank you. Change please.
Double fault number 6, and Pat Cash has his first service break of the match and leads 4-2.
Wasn't it the backhand return that did all the damage there, Tony? 3 beautiful backhand returns, and then Boris changed up and went to Pat's forehand at love 40, but drew the double fault.
Well, he got off to a terrific start with that backhand passing shot down the line. Now let's see if Cash's confidence holds up.
5, please. Thank you.
We are told that Yvonne Lendl at 6-5 in the first set against Tim May on the #1 court has taken an injury timeout, and the trainer Bill Norris is out there working on his leg. We do not know any more than that at this moment. We'll keep you up to date. Meantime, Pat Cash serving, trying to consolidate his service break. 4-2, 15 love. His second serve coming up.
15 all.
Third double fault by Cash, and that is due to his respect for the Boris Becker return of serve. At this level of tennis, you better get a pretty good second serve, and they're probably going to knock it past you anyway.
Well, the first signs of the tide just turning a touch in this match.
And you see a little irritation in Boris Becker now. That's a good sign from Cash's standpoint. And that's not a good sign. I like to get past like that.
30 all.
Well, we all know Boris Becker's got the firepower, and look at this forehand. Steps around. Plenty of topspin, but plenty of power.
Served a double, trying to go right down the middle. Becker had moved a little bit to his left, and Cashy went for a little bit too much down the middle, so it is break point for Becker. Here's another look. The serve just misses down the center.
5, please. 5,
Well,
please.
Pat only has himself to blame in this game. 2 double faults.
It's a tough one. You can't really go for too much on this second serve. Becker gets a break back. Cash leads 4-3, third set. Courts, Pat Cash got the service break, led 4-2. Served 2 doubles in his service game, and just a marvelous shot to finish off that last game by Becker. So Becker comes out trailing to serve 3-4 in the third. Ivan Lendl, we understand, fell in his match against Tim Mayotte and had the injury timeout. The trainer, Bill Norris, was massaging his leg and probably putting some analgesic balm on it. They're back on court, so we'll try to keep you updated on that situation as best we can. Meanwhile, on the center court, Becker to serve at 3-4. He has won the first 2 sets from Cash, 6-4, 6-3.
First service. Love 15.
Double fault number 7. Perhaps Becker will return the favor with some double faults in this game.
Well, all donations will be graciously received.
That's right.
By Pat Cash.
Jingle bells, it's Christmas time, huh? 2 hours they've been out there. We haven't talked too much about the weather, but the conditions should be pretty nice right now. The breeze is no factor at all. There's no sun to really contend with. It's not really cold, so really ideal conditions. No shadows to deal with. That's the biggest thing that Pat Cash has to deal with, and that's the Boris Becker serve.
Boris Becker's game very much back on track, and of course he's now teamed up with an Australian coach, Bob Brett. And Bob Brett was a follower of the great Harry Hopman, and he really makes Boris work hard.